Hello, this is Legacy with Dad. Today, this is lesson 5, which is seeking knowledge and discipline. In lesson 4, yesterday we discussed about the system, which I broke down how if you are on a W-2, it's very hard to build wealth, where the best way to build wealth is actually by owning a business here in the United States. But today we're talking about knowledge and discipline. Knowledge and discipline is extremely important. You have to learn to seek knowledge. That is found in books, that is found on YouTube, that is found through meeting other business owners. Sometimes you can just call a business and ask to speak to the owner and say, hey, can I buy you lunch and sit down and pick your brain because I have a question about something similar to your industry. Most business owners, from my experience doing that, is willing to sit down with you and answer any questions you may have. And if they're not, that's okay. There's tons of other business owners out there who are willing to do it. You have to learn to stop assuming that you know what you know and learn to ask. Because if you don't ask for knowledge, you're never going to receive it. And if you're unable to receive it, how are you supposed to know that any decision that you're doing is going to be an appropriate decision? You haven't built that knowledge to make that wise, justified decisions. Even me, in this time of my life, I have mentors who I call. If I'm not sure of something, I will call and ask another business owner. That could be a competitor. Hey, with COVID-19 regulations, how are you handling everything in your driving school? And just take notes. Seeking knowledge is important because in order to establish and maintain discipline, you have to have a least baseline of knowledge to create that discipline. Other than that, you're going to be doing things like a hamster wheel, running in a big circle. You're not going to achieve anything. So seeking the knowledge can be a tremendous thing. To give you guys an example, my children, of some of the seeking knowledge, I started off with this book. Okay, this was my foundation. This taught me how to handle personal finance. Because if you cannot manage your personal finance, how are you supposed to handle a business? It's just going to implode and you're just going to spend recklessly, and that's it. This book here is one of the best books when it comes to teaching you about the system. Absolutely love this book. The next one is you have to have a generalized understanding of what is America's millionaires. Social media makes it portray that it's about yachts, boats, expensive clothing, flashing money, showing that, oh, I'm on top of the world. Well, this book and its second edition actually broke down the entire structure of what millionaires actually do. And it's actually earth-shocking how they really don't buy all these luxurious things. They live a very modest life. So that would be something I would definitely suggest my children to definitely read, because it's earth-shattering. It's compared to YouTube and all these other social media, TikTok. It's night and day. It really exposes the truth when it comes to that. The next one is when it comes to teaching principles of managing a business, which is Principles by Ray Dalio. Very good book. Pretty much you follow all his principles from when he started his hedge fund company to $1 billion industry. That knowledge is just amazing. Another book is The Richest Man in Babylon. And a book that really helped me, because I'm very antisocial, and in order to be a leader in your business, you cannot be antisocial. You have to be willing to talk to people, express emotions to people, understand people, and relate. And this book is one of the most important books in my arsenal for communication. How to Win Friends and Influence People. A must read, hands down, because you got to know how to communicate with your staff. You got to know how to communicate with, and when you're inside of business meetings, doing business deals. You may have where you end up on the news. Like I was on the news 4 times. You have to be able to properly communicate. The remaining of my books is actually on Audible. I use Amazon Audible a lot. Some of the books include the 50 Laws of Power, the 10 Laws of Corporate Power, more audio versions of, Jesus, I have so many books, I realize. And see, right there, having so many books, that's actually a good thing. If you're not actively seeking knowledge and actively learning, then that means your knowledge gain has stalled. Once your knowledge gain has stalled, you're setting yourself up for failure. You have to constantly be willing to learn every single day. Learning from your competitors, learning from stuff you may find on social media, which I'll be kind of careful with that because you don't quite know if they're the real deal or not. You have to just keep your mind open and constantly read, constantly learn. If a billionaire comes out with a new book about his autobiography, definitely buy it and read it, because you may learn something in there that may apply to your business and actually apply it and do really, really well. You don't know unless you learn. Now, let's go back into discipline. Being successful is the most boring thing in the world. And when I say boring, I mean you got to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over. But it's crazy because every so often it creates a different result. What do I mean by that? Is you have to follow a budget. Boring. You have to not spend. Boring. You have to see a ton of money sitting in your bank account and not touch it. Extremely boring. But that's all part of being disciplined in order to reach the goal that you want to set. Which in a video, I will create a video on goals and why discipline and knowledge is important to attain those goals. Mostly discipline. If you're not disciplined, like, hey, I should really hold off on buying a PS5. You go take $1,000 and buy it. You turn around and realize, oh wait, I don't have enough money to fix my car, or I don't have enough money to pay my rent, or I don't have enough money in my emergency fund. You're going to set yourself up for failure quickly. And this is what the average person does. They don't think what can happen 6 months down the line. They think about affirmation. What can they get right now? The good feeling of buying something. It's a very hard thing to discipline yourself and get used to pretty much denying yourself something you really want. People in general don't like to be denied. If they want something, they go buy it, no matter what the consequences is. You have to realize those consequences could be great, because even though you may have a tiny consequence here, you add them together, it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows, and then you look up. Now you have a whole entire decade that's wasted that you could have used that money that you purchased things that you really didn't need, and it stops you from reaching your goal. So discipline is important. Discipline will stop you from going to hang out with your friends. Discipline will stop you from eating at restaurants. Discipline will stop you from doing things that normal everyday people do. Now, I know that some people may feel that, what's the point of doing all this if you don't enjoy life? Enjoying life is a figurative of what you think enjoying life is. I'm extremely disciplined. Guess what? I enjoy life. But also, I really grinded for 8 years to get to the point where I can enjoy life. If I want to go out here and go to a 5-star restaurant, it's not a problem. If I want to go to the local Mercedes dealership and pull off the lot, that's not a problem. I earned my ability by being disciplined to get to this point. A lot of people may not be willing to sacrifice 4, 5, 6, 7 years of hard work and discipline to get to this point. Children, you got to be able to do that, because it's very difficult, especially with so much noise going on with social media. It's everywhere. And that noise is telling you, hey, you want to buy this, go buy that. You want to eat this, go eat that. Try this, try that. Wear this, wear that. Do this, do that. But what it's not teaching you is how to get to the point to do that. And that's why it's very important that you read the knowledge. And be disciplined. I'm not saying that you have to be miserable. I gotta eat beans and rice for the rest of my life. No one's saying that. But if you can eat beans and rice for a 6-month period to cut down on spending at McDonald's, spending at Burger King, spending at Wawa, or spending, your money, and then over those 6 months you raise enough money to get a used car for $3,000, isn't that worth it? Except for paying for Uber every day. It just makes sense when you apply it. But in order to do that, you gotta have the knowledge that, hey, I'm spending too much money on food, I need to cut back. Then you gotta have the discipline to tell yourself no. Tell yourself no. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna spend this. I'm not gonna spend that. I'm okay. I don't need this. I don't need the reward right now. My reward comes later. And that's extremely important. A lot of people, if you look around you, children, a lot of people will not be able to do that. They want it now. Give it to me. Consumerism. Give it to me. It's really what's stopping a lot of people from being productive, successful, and then the worst thing is honest with themselves. It's crazy how many people I sat down with doing a budget with them, and they say they can't afford none of their bills, and then as soon as I go down their budget, the first thing I say is, well, you're paying $260 a month for cable. Why don't you cut the cable and get Netflix? You'll be shocked how they give me resistance. Giving me resistance. I just saved you $260 a month. Obviously you got to deduct the cost for Netflix and the internet connection. Even then, they're saving $170, $180 a month. And they're giving me crap because they can't watch SportsCenter. That's crazy. You got to look at the bigger goal. Now, as you work hard, you're collecting the knowledge, which creates, collecting that knowledge turns into habits, and then once you get the habits, it's automatically flow with the discipline. From that point, you're ready to move forward and start working towards your upper goal, which is building an asset that you can play the money game with, which I will cover that. Indian children, it's super important, because without knowledge, you're done. You gotta be willing to seek the knowledge. You have to be willing to research. You have to be willing to ask questions, children. You have to be willing to sit down, interview people, ask them questions. You're not going to learn anything if you don't ask. Anyone in the universe can be disciplined. Discipline is fine and dandy, but if you don't have the knowledge to support that discipline, what are you disciplined for? Oh, I'm just going to eat rice and beans for the rest of my life, but not actually take the money and utilize it to put it somewhere else to create assets. It just doesn't make any sense. You have to seek knowledge, and you have to be disciplined. You seek the knowledge, gain the knowledge, and then use it to be disciplined. This is what I'm going to do for a very long time. This is what I'm going to do for a very long time. Once I hit this goal, I'm going to be disciplined to hit this goal. It's the foundation. It's the foundation. You gotta do it. It's a stepping block. You have to do it to get there. I don't know of a successful entrepreneur that is not actively seeking knowledge, either about their industry, okay, self-betterment, learning to be better leader, like leadership, and learning to actually effectively manage. Because without management, your team is done also. But let's rewind. The knowledge. The knowledge is super important. If you are a person who is not willing to learn, quit the entrepreneurship game. Don't even start a business. It's not, you're not going to make it. I'm going to tell you straight from the gate, you're not going to make it. Because you're going to be too stuck in your own ways. You're not going to be willing to listen. You're not going to be willing to learn. And your company's never going to grow. Period. You might as well just quit. Because it's, how are you supposed to learn to advance, expand? How are you supposed to learn about taxation and growth? You're not going to learn. You have to learn. And with today's technology, to me, there's zero excuse for learning. There's zero excuse. You have YouTube, you have Audible, Amazon Audible, where literally the book is read to you. So you could be in the gym, you could be at work, you could be driving and listening to an audio book that'll give you self-betterment. Like there's no excuse. So at that point, it's pure ignorance. You just don't want to learn. And honestly, if you don't want to learn, stay out. Stay in a 98% game, because if you don't want to learn, you're not going to make it. You got entrepreneurs and business owners, leaders, all is not born, they're made. They go through pain, suffering, seeking knowledge, gaining knowledge, and being disciplined for a very long time. They're made. Great leaders are made. Great businesses are made. You have to learn how to do this. If reading is not your forte, you better lose it real quick and start learning. Because if you're not going to learn, learning is important. Because if you're not willing to learn, there's nothing, no one can help you. No one can help you. Because you're never going to change. You're never going to be disciplined and do things that works out better. You're always going to be stuck in a hamster wheel. Trading time for money. Not trading money for time. It's very important. Love you, children. Hope you take this message and seek knowledge. Love you.